I've been looking around the internet to figure out how to install an aftermarket radio on a 2016 Porsche 911 GT3RS, and I can't really find anything. So I've thought maybe this video might help others do a complete install. Step one, based on what I researched, was I found somebody who recommended this specific Pioneer aftermarket radio. I think there's also a 2550 NEX, but I got the 1770 NEX because it was on sale, but it's exact same dimensions and I didn't really see any difference. Additionally, apparently another thing to make it much easier for the install was to purchase this Suncoast aftermarket radio install kit. And basically it came with this metal bracket, which looks like that's probably going to be used to fit it in the car. It also came with a plastic cover so that it gives it an OEM look. You can see, this is Porsche there. So, and then on top of that, it gives you a number of cable harnesses, which also includes some instructions. I'm not sure how detailed it is, but at least it gives you what the colors mean and all those things. And so hopefully once I get the Pioneer unboxed here, these color code will all make sense to me. Again, I'm no expert in doing this. This is really the first time I've ever even attempted to do this. So if this does end up working, I think hopefully this will be a good instructional video for others.
Okay, so I did do the unboxing and took everything out, and it definitely seems a little intense. Here's all of the wires that came with the Pioneer system, and there's the Pioneer screen there. And then of course it also came with some instructions, which I'll have to take a read before I get going. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely seems a little bit scary to do. I haven't done this before, so I guess I'll be surprised if I can get this done, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so looking through a little bit of the instructions now, I think what I'm going to do before I actually hook it up to the car will be to slowly start piecing the different parts to the actual aftermarket Pioneer system here. So here it kind of provides you some bit of detail about the different speakers and subwoofer connections, and I noticed several cables here that seem to be labeled like rear view camera, wheel control, front in out, microphone, subwoofer here, Sirius XM, auxiliary in. So I will, and then it does some really relatively simple connections in the back, so I'm assuming a lot of these things just plug in. So step one here, I'll maybe go through with the first part, which is basically connecting or putting the leads in here for speakers and a potential subwoofer or amp, which I do have. I purchased a Hertz 10-inch compact power subwoofer, so it's kind of like a built-in little box that's much more convenient, especially for or at least as you know, the RS really doesn't have a whole lot of room, so I thought that might make the most sense. So basically I think what I'm going to do is kind of do a process by elimination here. So one of the things I did find is that it's clear in the documents that this one here at the bottom is the auxiliary in, based on the instructions. So should be able to just snap this into place. Hopefully. Seems like it wants to fit in this one, but the instructions kind of show you going into here. Oh, there you go. Oh, it's very touchy. That's one. Yes, you can see the little grooves in there. I'm assuming they should kind of click in here, but not really. Well, there we go. There you go, and they hurry click. So there you go. So that one went in well. Then looking at all the choices I have here, there's really only one other one that's about that size, and this, it actually shows rear view camera, a mute, and a steering wheel connector. And yes, looking at the product part on page 3 here, it does show that looks like it does go into that. So should go easily now put that one into there. And that's done. Perfect. Now the next one is trying to figure out, okay, here it seems like they almost want you to put in the smartphone first. So that's just a USB cable, it looks like. And yeah, there's only one here that has a USB cable. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but kind of over to this corner here, or no, sorry, the other corner. If I turn here, you can see this little USB cable plug, so I will plug that in, and that goes in nice and easily. Let's move that out of the way. So now, the next steps would be to look to see, yes, so I have two cables that look pretty much identical, but I can tell by the number of holes that clearly one is bigger than the other. So that must mean the Sirius one, Sirius radio plug, which is number 7, and yep, according to the instructions, number 7 should go right up here at the top. So I'll plug that one in. And again, the little grooves, yep, heard a little click, and done. So that just leaves the last one, which has got to be this set of cables. You can see them all here. That's the auxiliaries that, it says rear out, front out R, subwoofer out right, subwoofer out left, and a rear monitor out. You know, I doubt I'll be using all these, but came with it. So nice and easy. So again, get it in the groove. Oh, yeah, and clicks right in nicely. So now I'm kind of left, according to the instructions, it's kind of suggesting here that I now throw in these, I guess, the speaker wires. I'm assuming that's what that is, and a remote control system. And really, there's only one way this looks like it can go in, and that looks like this way. And I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. So yeah, there's like one large cable thing here. You can see it's like right here, and that looks like it just clicks in nicely. Yeah, perfect. And there's a little 10 amp fuse there. It covers. It's now kind of gotten through 5 different bags, and looking at the instructions, all I have left is this one, and it's a microphone, and clearly that has to go into the, there's another little hole here. You see it says, and it actually says mic right on it, so can't get that wrong. And that's it. Okay, so that's it for that part of the install. I guess the next thing I'm thinking might be to actually maybe get this into the steel bracket it came with. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I got the Pioneer into the metal bracket that came from the kit, the aftermarket radio kit. I had just purchased, and I can't remember if I told you, but I purchased it from Suncoast. So, you know, I've bought things from before, and everything I've always bought from them always seems to turn out, so they only seem to carry mostly quality products and OEM stuff. So there really was actually only one way for this to go in, and the way I figured it out was just looking at the plate that they gave you. There's these little knobs you can see here and here and here, and they only fit basically this one in this one spot in these in the bracket. So again, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I don't even know what these are called, but that's what they are. And it came with a number of screws. Looks like all sorts of different sizes. It doesn't really say. I couldn't find anywhere in the instructions that say what's for what. There seem to be short ones, longer ones, so just separate those. So seems like there's 5 short ones and 6 long ones, which is kind of not what I necessarily was expecting. Oh, here's another one here, so 6, yeah, so 6 each. And the reason I say that is like, so there's 4 on the top here, clearly to put the plastic bracket, and then on the side that actually bolts into the actual Pioneer. Clearly there's 4 on each side, so that would be 8. So I do have the right number, which is 12 in total, but which ones go where? No idea. It does not say much about them. So I think it will be yeah, I found something in here. It says either use the head screws, which are 5mm by 9mm, or flush screws that are 5mm by 9mm, depending on the shape of the bracket screw holes. I don't think that really says much. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just maybe start with the small, or the, I don't know, maybe the small ones fit better. Let me see if they're like quite different. These are the long ones. Or maybe longer ones first. Let's see if I can get one in here. It's a little hard to do this. I got one. They're just a Phillips, so I'll screw one in here. And then maybe I'll get to one on the other side. It can easily work with once I got one in. Oops. Just move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay, so I'll just grab this other tall one, and I'll screw that one in, and that one in. Relatively easy. I still feel like I might not have the right ones. I don't even know if I have the right thing, because I'm just noticing now that the bottom holes aren't lining up to anything, so I mustn't be doing something right. So what I'll do is, I noticed there was more holes, so I have a feeling depending, because I still have space, so maybe the Pioneer system has to come up. Yeah, and sure enough, yeah, there you go. This is way better. If I line up to, there's like by pulling up the Pioneer, so this is better lined up. Maybe I could get there. It's really hard to, it's definitely not easy. Get this thing, if I turn it upside down, I can get this way. Yeah, there you go. So maybe easier this way. Yeah, so there you go. Got one in. They definitely seem like there's now some sort of line up. Again, I don't know if it's the long or the short, but it seems to be fitting. side here. In. Nice. Too tight. Put this one. Honestly, the main reason I maybe talk a little bit about, why I'm even doing this in the first place. And part of it was because I thought, I had just bought the car. It's actually, even as I speak, I don't even have it. It's currently on its way from Edmonton, Alberta, through a transport company. But, everything I've read and knowing I've had a Porsche Cayman, I have a 2018 Con S, and they all have more of a updated system. So I thought, when I saw the one that comes with the 991.1, I realized this, it's an older system. I believe it's the PCM 3.1, which is, definitely not as good. I'm actually realizing I think those longer ones might be better. They seem to fit nicer here. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get 4 because I feel like I don't have enough. I'll be the second owner, of course, and then the first owner had upgraded to the Sound. I think it was called the Sound Plus, but I was told that it's still not the greatest. Of course, the car isn't really, you not necessarily have to have the best stereo system. It's, it's about the experience of driving it and all that. But you know what, I do enjoy listening to a good quality system. So I thought, I better just go ahead and just upgrade it. And this way, it'll be better than it was stock. And of course, because there's a kit, I thought, it'll make it even easier. And so that's kind of where my reasoning. And the other thing too is I really dislike the idea that the car didn't have a backup camera. And I'm just always concerned of all the years being used to having backup cameras that, I would accidentally back up into something. And that would be not a good situation. So it makes sense to purchase one. And like I said, there's lots of videos on how to basically convert your current PCM using things like, I think there's one company called MR12, there's another one called Joy Audio. But either way, I thought, the PCM itself, like the screen is old, it's dated. And I thought, you're already modifying it. And for not really a whole lot difference in price, because if you look at the prices of those Joy Autos, you're already looking at least 500-600 Canadian. Even some companies that make things like the Joy Audio are even more expensive, up to over $1,000. And honestly, to get this Pioneer, it was on sale on Amazon.ca for probably $400, and then the kit was $229, I like to think, US. And that's it. And then I did buy a Hertz subwoofer, powered subwoofer, so it's got a built-in amp, yesterday, and it was on sale, $299 Canadian for a 10-inch sub. And I'm thinking that's going to be way more than enough than I ever really thought I would need. So that's kind of where that's the main reason behind all of that. And, it's not like I'm destroying the car, so you can easily change your mind on that down the road. So there's no actual commitment to keep it like this forever. So I don't think it's going to be an issue if you know, I did sell the car one day and somebody wanted it stock because they don't like the fact that I put in an aftermarket. I think that will be easily switchable just because of the package here. So it looks like that's it. I see that these things, but I was expecting maybe these little tabs you would maybe tighten them down with a screw, but I wouldn't have provided any other kind of screw, so I don't see. Oh, you know what? I do recall. Yes, this was taped to the box, and I didn't know what those were for, but I bet you they're there to hold the plastic knobs into place. And sure enough, there are exactly 4, so that makes sense. Okay, so what I'll do is maybe I'll just go ahead and maybe peel the screen back, the tape back a little bit, because there's clearly some tape stuck in behind here. I won't pull it all the way back because I don't want to. I just want to get it so that if I am putting it in the car, you know, I don't. Got it mostly taken off. Take that off a bit. Kind of leave it still at the front, so of course it ripped right here. There it goes. And so there you go. I'm gonna kind of leave the front a little bit more covered, just in case I don't want any scratches to the screen. So far, you know, cross your fingers, this has actually been not too bad. You know, maybe the hard part will be actually the, you know, the wire, connecting the wire harnesses that came with the Suncoast package. As you see, there's all these items here. Hopefully it is easy to do. They actually come with a number of included crimp style connectors and some heat shrink solder tubes. So hopefully, you know, that makes it much easier to actually connect all the speaker wires to the Pioneer. And you know, I'm thinking the purpose of why they give you this kind of harness is that these numbers or these colors probably all connect to the Pioneer aftermarket stereo, so it's all color coded perfectly. And then this will just plug into what I think will just be what was plugged, the harness plug that is in the car currently, and make it nice and easy to just do. Okay, so now that I know that these little pieces are probably for the plastic, I should be able to get this in here. This plastic that's a little bit annoying, but I really don't want to take it off yet. Okay, yeah, so that does piece in nicely here. There we go. Yeah, perfect. I'm just going to turn it upside down, and then I have a feeling that, yeah, I would just push maybe these things down, these plastic things, and then just kind of lock it in place. Again, just in case you want to see it. Oops, right over here. It's this little, almost like a little locking thing, and I think they just kind of push down. Here, I think, maybe not. Maybe the other way. Yep, not so easy. But that makes sense that they're not so easy because you want them to kind of lock in. Yeah, and there you go. So it looks like you kind of, they only kind of go in one direction, and they are a little bit firm to put in, but that's good because that's definitely, I'll just use my screwdriver maybe just to push it down a little bit better so it's nice and flush. Perfect. And then the same thing, this back part. So far I'm just really happy the way this is working out. You know, I like doing things myself, not only just because, you know, I enjoy doing it, but on top of it, I think it's just a, you know, great way to, you know, save money. I'm not somebody who has a lot of, you know, I live comfortably enough to be able to purchase the car, but I'm also not probably maybe what some of the typical customers are that who walk into Porsche and can, at a blink of an eye, just buy one. So this is really more of a, you know, a dream come true, being able to actually have this car, and it very might be the very last car I ever purchase. You know, not to say, you know, you never say never. You know, all car guys say that, and then, you know, the moment, you know, 6 months after you purchase a car, you're already researching all the other great cars that are out there. But, yeah, no, there you go. It works really nicely. So there you go. You can see the face is on there nice. Put that out of the way, as you can see. Yeah, I think that turned out really nicely. I think that will look great. And I honestly, I don't know if anybody's going to really notice. There's a little bit of a gap there I can see on the bottom. I'm curious of how that's, oh, you know what? I must have done something still not right. Because there's no way, this is not flush. So, you know, like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. So clearly I've done something off. Because I would expect this to be a little bit more flush. I wouldn't think you have to go in so deep. I think it needs to come up more. So, you know, like I said, this is kind of a learning experience, and you know, I'm hoping that at the time I'm done this video, you have a nice complete instruction, so then you can kind of see the different mistakes I've made. And so, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw these now back, so I can push it maybe more forward. The thing I'm concerned about is that, I don't know, maybe you only need a couple of screws. Maybe you don't need to screw all 4 holes to lock this system in. So I'm thinking now that the key is just to get this thing flush so that it fits nicely, and then hopefully there's at least a couple of screw holes to screw into. Right, so this other side here. Okay, this one. Okay. I was only able to get 3 on each side anyway, so clearly it doesn't necessarily mean you need to have also. Like, I'm gonna push this forward so that it fits actually much nicer within this, because that makes way more sense that this would be meant to do that, and less about the thing. So clearly it's a little bit hard. I don't want to push too hard because, you know, I've got a bad habit of, you know, like most probably people, you push a little hard, you're trying to get things to fit in, you don't take your time to make sure that things are nicely lined up, and then next thing you know, you've got a cracked plastic piece. So I don't know how sturdy this thing is. There's just lots of little metal pieces here that this thing maybe is getting hooked up on. So just trying to line it up. Maybe I'm, yeah. Yeah, it definitely isn't fitting as nice as I thought it would be. Maybe if I turn it upside down, you know, maybe, oh yeah, you see, you can see even just when I'm looking at the edges, it's clearly not totally fitting in that nice. I think I'm just going to push it a little bit. Oh, there you go. I can push it a little bit on that side. And then, yeah, on this side, you know, the plastic, you know, one thing with plastic is it could be, you know, there's a little bit of flex always with plastic. Again, like, I trust that the fact that Suncoast was selling this, because normally when you buy stuff from there, they're pretty good to make sure, and right on the website alone, you could see that this was specifically for the 991. So, but yeah, it's not, this is not that easy to get in. I apologize, I'm sure this is painful to watch. So somebody who's doing this is probably saying, oh man, this guy's really got to do it a different way. But see, like, it's like I get it in one side, but then the other side, don't see that it pop out, right? Get it on one side, and you get it on another, and then sure enough, this is exactly why I wanted to keep the plastic on, because clearly, and you know what, maybe it's not meant to go all the way flush. Maybe this is possibly one of the reasons why, you know, aftermarket systems are not always Perfect. Just a lot of gap. Or maybe the idea is that, yeah, you try to get it as close as you can. Yeah, I see. Yeah, there you go. That's how you do it. So you really have to like do it from the front. And I don't know if you guys can, it's really hard to see. I'm able to hold this at the same time. But you can see there's like massive gaps. So you have to kind of like clearly get it like in this perfect spot. And now there is, if you look up, there's a gap here. But you know what? When you look dead on, you can't tell the gap. It actually looks like perfectly flush. So I think the key is that you gotta do your best to essentially line it up, and then basically I'll get a screw in, and if I can get one in, so it's not easy. They don't really line up the best. And maybe you gotta mess around with it a little bit. Yeah, you gotta mess around with it a little bit. Just so you have to just find that really, that it's up to you to figure out that perfect sweet spot, it seems, where you're happy with the way it turned out. So it's one of those things where, yeah, it's a nice little bracket, but it doesn't, it's not, it's made probably for all sorts of different type of aftermarket radios. So that means you're just going to have to find where you think visually it looks the best. I don't know why it's really hard to get the screws in. Here. I can just get one in. Then if I get one in, I could kind of mess around with the thing. So yes, yeah, again, there you go. So like now that's way better. I really am much more happy with the way that fits. I can't, before there was just a massive gap, and I felt like that just didn't like the way that was looking. So you kind of have to find the best you can. Yeah, and so I think that's good. Great. Thank you. Okay, so I did complete the wiring here. Not to completely miss out how I did it. It was actually pretty simple. Everything is color coded, so it was kind of like orange to orange, you know, gray to gray, gray black to gray black, white to white, green green, yellow yellow. There was a kind of a violet white, which is a remote thing. I'm installing a rear view camera as well, so there was a rear view camera thing, and then this is the camera wiring that it came with. There's a red power cable that's with the camera, and it said in the instructions that often you'll find a kind of violet white wire connected to the aftermarket, and in fact it did have that, and on top of it, it also said right on there, reverse gear signal input, so clearly that's for that. And so yeah, that's basically it. That was all the wiring. There is this one other wire, I'm not sure exactly. It says that it's used to, let me see what it says here, it's a green wire, which is to connect to units wake up signal. It says it's green, and it'll apparently connect right to the factory quad lock center there, so you can see that there. And the other thing I had to connect was there's an an adapter for the antenna that came here, so it came with it. So I plugged that into the back, and apparently this should connect to the back of the, or inside the car. So that's kind of it. Hoping that I did put this all together right, so I'll just get it into the car now and see if it works. Okay, so the first thing I did here was disconnect the negative on the battery. As you can see here, I disconnected and kind of just pushed it off to the side. Just what I understand with working with any of these things, you just don't want to cause some sort of short. So that was that. The next thing I did, I'll show you here, is inside the car, using a couple of plastic pry tools I had just picked up just at a local store. Basically, I taped off here. You can see how I had tape here, and just using the plastic tool, I just pried it back, and you can see there's just like clips all the way along, and then just kind of popped out on both sides. Then what I did was, there are some torque screws that were right there and right there and on each side, and I just undid that, and the stereo just basically should pop out. So let me try to do that next. Sorry for the camera here, just trying to orientate myself. It's not exactly the easiest thing to do to get in and out of these cars. Okay, so sorry, I got the flashlight here so you can see, and apparently this thing should just pop out. So it seems, yeah, it looks like it's sliding. Yep, there you go. Slides right out, and then, you know, oh, you know what else I realized? I heard from somebody that you need to take the car and put it into back, maybe into drive or neutral, just so you can get the head unit out, because as you can see, it's basically, it's not going to move. So I'll have to go grab a key and do that next. Okay, so you can see I did put the car back into drive, and I was able to get the head unit out. So I just kind of pulled it out and pushed it off to the side there. No, I don't know exactly how all these wires tie in yet, but I guess that's going to be the next step. So I might have to, I'll pull all the wires out, and I'll be right back while I go and maybe read the instructions a little bit further. Okay, so getting the wires out, that was definitely a challenge. They don't make them that easy to pop out. You can see a lot of them, they just have like little, here, maybe this one will be easier to show you. So you can see here, they just kind of clip down up, and they're just really in there tight. One of the ones, at first I was like, how do I get this thing off? It's the main harness, but you could see how it kind of moves like this. So you had to kind of like, there's a little clip, you kind of squeeze and then pull back, and then it kind of popped back out. But I would definitely, if you have a second person, that would be much easier. I could tell you, it's taken me a little bit just to kind of pull these wires out. I used a flathead. That seemed to help a bit better, but definitely took a little bit of work. Probably took a good just 10 minutes trying to pull the wires out. Okay, so I think I'll get to the next step now, and that's basically just bringing out the new setup, and then seeing if I can hopefully match some of these cables up. I'm assuming the box thing will be simple, but yeah, I'm not really sure what all these other things are, so I'm not. So I guess I'll find out. Okay, great. Okay, so getting back here now. It's taken me a little bit of time to do a lot of research, but basically I ended up hooking the harness that was with the Pioneer stereo to the one that was the factory. That was actually pretty easy. That slid it in. Now there was a few other extra plugs I wasn't sure of. So there's like this blue one. There was this blue one here, and then there's a couple back here, a green, a yellow, kind of a blackish one. And I looked them up, and they're just basically other items, like there's the one that was the antenna. That one was easy to find. That one I was able to hook up. That was this one here. That was the black one. I'll maybe post a picture with the video that shows what the uses of those other wires are, but I don't think they're necessary for a aftermarket. The only other part that I'm not 100% sure is this orange wire, which is an illumination wire, which apparently controls the dimming in the new aftermarket stereo. And they say you could, in the Porsche kit that I got from Suncoast, it says to connect it to the rear light. However, I'm reading online there's a lot of other people doing different things, such as maybe tying into a cigarette lighter. Some people just say they just leave it because really it only impacts them if to change the lighting depending on if you turn on the headlights or not. But I'm not sure. If I can get it installed, then I will, but if not, I'll see how it is without it on. Okay, I'm back now. After doing a lot of different research and things like that, I've kind of figured the best way to do this video would kind of give a really good summary of how the wiring goes in my 991.1 GT3RS. Here it is. It's just picked it up yesterday. Looks great. When I left off, I was doing the wiring inside the house, which was the wiring harness connected from the new unit, as well as to the Suncoast Porsche aftermarket radio kit. And there were some wires I was unsure of what they did. And I thought, oh, it'll be easy. I'll figure it out once I get the dash off. And turns out not so easy. And like I said before, I have no experience. In fact, probably the last time I did a radio install was probably 30 years ago. So it gives you some idea of the fact that I don't really know what I'm doing. But I thought, you know what, I'm always game to try. You know, the worst thing could have happened. I could have plugged back the old system and then just brought it to somebody who knew what they were doing and pay the $1,000 to have everything installed. But it did work out, and I learned a whole bunch of stuff based on a bunch of research. So I thought, you know, of any part of the video that's probably the most important, this would be it, because I will tell you exactly how I got it working and what all the wires are. So the first thing I'll do is I'll turn the factory system here and get that out, and I'll tell you a bit of the what all of these things mean. So this part here basically is the power and the speaker wires. Over here is a USB connection. Again, you don't need to use that. I find that the wire is long enough from the aftermarket to just pull through into my glove department and just have it directly connected. Don't need to actually use the factory input. This one over here, the black one, that actually turns out to be your FM AM antenna. And some people may have this. There would be one here. I think it's another yellow or orange. And that one would be as if your car was equipped with Sirius. Mine isn't, so I ended up purchasing a Sirius XM tuner kit, and that will plug into the back of the aftermarket. And then the blue one on top is the navigation antenna. Now, I don't know exactly how to hook that up to my XM or my new radio, but I assume I will do that eventually at some point. Although, you know, with Android Auto, I probably don't even really need it. But, you know, it's always nice to have a full connected device. So I'll go to the actual wiring now that I have done and how I got everything to work. Okay, so in here. Okay, so as I mentioned, you know, the wiring to the new system to the the main harness that came with the Suncoast Porsche kit, that was relatively easy because it was color to color, and so you could see how that all kind of ties in here. Now the yellow turns out is the solid constant power. So that one's important. And another one that's also nice, really important, is this red one. That red one actually ends up, it has a fuse on it, and it actually ends up tying into your fuse box. So they say to put it in the D section of your fuse box on the left-hand side, I guess the driver's side for me. And yeah, so that just plugged in nicely. And on top of that was a couple of the wires that I had no idea. So one was this green wire, right? That was one. I think on here it actually referred to it as, it just said parking brake. So I had no idea what that actually meant. And there was also an orange wire here that also I was not really sure what to do with. And I believe in the actual manual, it referred to the orange one here. I'll just look at the manual again just to remind me what the exact wording was. The orange one is a terminal light switch. So really this is supposed to help with if you wanted to control the dimming. Now what I've read online is you can connect this to a basically any kind of power outlet. Some people say the cigarette lighter that's in here, or you could just actually simply enough just not do it, because actually when I put it on, I don't really ever dim mine. I just keep whatever is with the factory, so I'm not too worried about that one, so I left it. Another very important one that I really didn't know was this green one. This actually ended up being really key, because originally, as you see, I had this blue and white one that was in the bracket, and I had it attached actually to this blue and white one, thinking, well, that's got to be the same thing. Well, it turns out it's not. Not at all, actually. On the on the new radio system, it says it's a system remote control. Well, when I first plugged it in, I was getting power to the radio. Everything was working, but no sound at all. And then so I thought, oh, maybe I've broken something. And so I actually took the old factory unit, plugged it back into the harness, and there was sound. So then I started playing around with what if I took this blue one out that was in the back of the harness here. You could see there's a green one, and then there was space here for a blue one on the other side. And when I took it out, I noticed the speakers on the factory had stopped playing. So I knew that this blue one definitely was key, and I had nothing hooked up to it. So basically what I did was I read the instructions, which is probably important to do. And in the instructions that came with the Porsche Suncoast kit, there's like this, you can see right here, it talks about this. Oops, I got it upside down. It mentions this connect to head units amp / wake up signal, and it brings it all the way to the blue. And then it gives you some detail, like if you have a 991.1, which I do, the green black wire from the blue plug. So that means I thought, okay, well, what I'll do is I'll try it. So I spliced the green blue, which is really hard to see here because they really don't give you much space here. And I spliced it into it. You can see I cut, and then I spliced the green one into that one. And well, the green one was just extra wire because, like I said, it was too short to bring this. So I had just cut the green one because I felt like I already had enough for the green one, and I didn't need any more, because that one is actually, I think in the instructions it says bring it to your rear light. It's a safety feature, but in order to get your Bluetooth worked, you gotta have to actually tie it in to your ground, which you'll see here. But anyways, so I tied it. I stole some of the green wire, which is now tied to the ground over here. I stole some of that one, and I used it to splice into the black-green one, or green-black, however you want to say it. And next thing you know, the sound is playing, and the sound is playing perfect. So I think that really kind of summarizes it all. Like, I think that, the experience is that you definitely do need to use most of the wires. I would say the instructions, although at first they seem like they're very little, it is very important that you do every step. Now there are wires that I won't be using for sure, like this, the yellow one, which was the USB connection. As I mentioned, there was plenty of USB space. You can see it's all the way here, and I still have tons of it, which is, over here. So I didn't really need to actually tie into that one. The green one, I don't know what it does, but I just plugged it into the back. Like, it left it, and that was it for that. But everything works, so it's great. And the only other thing left I had to do was I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hook up a sub. So I ran the sub wire here, and it'll just plug into, one of these labeled ones here. And the backup camera, of course, which goes into in mine, it was labeled and it was brown, and it basically just said rear backup camera. So I plugged that into that. You need to there's like a red wire that comes with the camera, and so you just tie that into your red power as well. It was simple, and then just run it to the back of the car. And I think there's a few videos out there that kind of show you how to install a rear backup camera on a 911. One to look up if you really want to. I noticed I used it a lot to help with mine, and it was the Auto Amateur. He's got a video you could go view on backup cameras. He's got a couple, actually. He uses Joy Audio, but like I said, I didn't really want to go that route, so I ended up with getting a whole new system. Other than that, I would say that's it. I'll tidy up all these things, and I'll post a picture of the final fitting at the end. And I really do hope this helps somebody, because at first it does seem very cumbersome. I think I was a little bit worried about it. Then as I started patching in the harness and the other stuff that came with the Porsche kit from Suncoast, I was like, oh, this is pretty easy. Everything was kind of just color to color and label to label. But once I got into the car, and of course you start seeing other types of plugs, and you're wondering, well, how do all these things connect? You start to question whether or not you can do this. And of course I just did the basic plug-in, leaving some of these other wires, like this green to the blue white. And then I had there's the other, the main green one, which I can't see right now, but the green one, oh, here it is. Here, the one that I think it's labeled to the rear light. I just, no, you know what I think it actually labeled? It's labeled to the parking brake. And that's what it is. Yeah, the green one was originally for the parking brake, and then I just grounded that because I'm not going to bother wiring that in. And that's what you need to do to get your Bluetooth working. If you do not take the green wire that's coming from the factory harness, or I mean not the factory harness, the new harness from the Pioneer, and ground it, you will not be able to access Bluetooth. It will not work. It will be all grayed out. So you must do that. And then the other key thing is, again, you must take this blue and white, this system remote control. It is not about your remote control. It's literally has to do with the fact that you need to tie it in to this blue, basically box plug into the green and black one. And again, like I said, I just used this green one because the one that came with the back for the parking brake was, probably 10 feet long. So I figured I just use instead of buying another wire. And that's about it. So again, hopefully that does help somebody. I think it is very doable. I'm glad I did it. It's a good experience. I hope to make some other videos. I eventually want to put on an exhaust, for this car. Maybe it helps somebody. I know there's lots of videos out there, so I'm not too worried whatever. I just wanted to do it for fun. I even have a Macan S over here that I plan to, it's wrapped in Expel Stealth. I plan to do the 120,000 kilometer maintenance. So I will go to Porsche and print out all the things I need to do. I'll purchase everything, all the parts and fluids from Porsche just to make sure I have everything right, and then I will do it myself, and I'll try to post a video about it. But anyways, I'll post a final video of everything cleaned up. Thanks.